Well, everybody, thank you for joining us again today for another episode of Pursuit of Purpose. I'm Robbie. This is
Chuck.
And today we have with us a very special guest. A lot of you in the Southeast Texas area are going to know him. You're going to know about him, but I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell us just a little bit about him.
My name is Juss Rabalais. I'm co-owner of Old West Smoke Company, Side Chick Hot Chicken, and Smash Wagon. And we've got three of some of the best food trucks in Southeast Texas, I think.
Well, I wouldn't disagree with that one bit. I've had two out of the three. I haven't had the chance to try Side Chick
We're
yet.
going to be popping up soon. It's more of a ghost kitchen, and we called it Side Chick for a specific reason because we were like, we're not going to be able to devote as much time to this one. We're not going to be able to, do it as much. But the concept was there, the mindset was there, and we're like, let's just do this. So we pop up probably once every 4 months or so, like that. So twice or three times a year. But
That's great.
That is.
That's great. So you're in basically the hospitality business, the food business, but it's a very specific type of food business in that your business travels.
Correct.
You're almost never in one place 2 days in a row, almost. And you may not know from 1 week to the next where you're exactly going to be.
Correct.
That's a very unusual aspect.
It keeps it interesting, though. I had an office job. I was in the pipeline. I did insurance. I did so many things trying to find myself throughout the years. And the one thing that I could never get away from was cooking or experimenting with food. But the one thing that I found myself working these other jobs was I hated being inside. I was like, I'd much rather be on the road right now or going to pick something up or, just outside, just loving life, not inside, like dreading it.
Moving. You want to be moving.
Yeah, I want to be
in the
moving.
world.
Yes,
exactly.
And this has created that avenue accidentally because I didn't purposely plan it that way.
Right.
I just kind of joined in, and when I realized that we also started this during COVID, and so one of the big things were a lot of restaurants were dying sitting in one spot. COVID changed the world as we knew it. Things were not the same anymore. People were more adaptive and accepting to go up to a food truck versus walking into a restaurant.
Right.
And when we saw that we sat in one place, it was almost like people were like, I had it last week, So we started moving around and we started hitting certain spots. And it wasn't easy either because there were days where we sat there from 10 in the morning till midnight at certain places. And then we realized when the food times were. So I mean, it took hours and hours and of our time every day and every week to really pinpoint and focus and perfect what we've got going on now.
Right. Well, I'm going to share with you, since you shared that, an interesting aspect related to what you just said. You're kind of like an Easter egg on Easter morning because, like, for myself, when I saw you guys on social media and I saw what it looked amazing, the pictures that you posted and everything like that. And I got to tell you, that's what drew me in the first time.
I'm part photographer too.
Well, you're not part, you're the whole thing. But what happened is I saw these pictures and I saw all these people commenting on it, how good it was or whatever. And then I was like, well, I got to try this. Finally, I kept looking for you. I mean, I kept looking for you. And
people's first instinct is where your location, what are your hours.
Yeah.
They don't think I have to find you.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I thought I was going to go to where you were and find you. Well, I showed up 3 different locations on 3 different days, and there was nothing there. And I was like, oh my goodness. So I started asking around friends of mine that had put, their reviews on there or whatever. And finally I figured it out. If I would go to his page, he would say where he was going to be and from when to when. And I hunted him down. My first time was at the Home Depot parking lot.
Was it the burger truck or the taco truck?
It was a burger truck the first time. In fact, you gave me the hot one.
The Diablo.
Yeah, Diablo.
Yeah.
That was it. That was my first introduction into your food, and I was hooked. That was it. That was it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
So what we're about here at Pursuit of Purpose, and one of the greatest things about having people on here is something you alluded to when you introduced yourself. You kind of talked about how you've been from one thing to another thing and this, that, and the other. We're about reinvention, personal reinvention and creation of finding your purpose and pursuing it.
Yeah.
That's what this is all about.
And I love that.
And if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to go back a little bit further before you became the man that you are now. I'd like to talk about your origin story a little bit, if you wouldn't mind.
No, not at all.
Where are you from? Where were you born? And talk about your childhood a little bit.
So I was born in St. Elizabeth, Beaumont, Texas. My father was a police officer for Jefferson County. He was a jailer, I think, when I was born. My mother, so I have two very headstrong sides of my family. My dad was law enforcement, grew up in the 60s. Your kids got beat back then if they didn't listen. There was no such thing as Adderall. There was no such thing as ADHD.
Preach.
You got your butt down, until you
Yeah.
did right. And so I had this hardcore, just law enforcement, just driven family on one side, and then the other side was EMT, business owners, medical,
Right.
and you had my grandmother and my grandfather who are the heirs, Ayres.
Oh, like
Uh,
Ayers, the sales place. Yeah.
Mr. Ayres, my
I remember that.
So a lot of my my good and bad characteristics come from everybody in my family.
Absolutely.
We grew up as a tight knit family. A lot of my family members grew up to own their own businesses. My uncle owns Compassion Hospice here in Beaumont.
Okay. Yes.
My grandfather, like I said, owns Ayers Truck Accessories. My other uncles are real estate agents. Everybody on that side was business oriented, and they taught me structure of life. As far as business goes. My father taught me discipline and hard work. Rugged. The part of me that I didn't get with my mom because my mom, the Ayers side, she ended up passing away when I was 2 years old.
Oh.
So what I was getting at was my dad was law enforcement. My mom ran my grandfather's business. Basically, she was one of their best salespeople. She was so into it. She was just really driven. Uh, and when I lost her, I kind of leaned a lot on the rest of my family. I felt like I didn't know where I was supposed to be in life. I didn't. All I had was that mean fatherly. Even from my grandfather and my uncles. I just had that fatherly, I want to say love, but it was discipline. It was aggressive. It was stern. There was no lackadaisical stuff. There was no excuses. If this was supposed to get done, it was supposed to get done. And if you didn't get it done, there was no excuse. You just didn't get it done. You failed.
All results driven.
Yeah, you were a failure if you did not accomplish this. And at first, it was very defeating in life until I saw my brothers overcome it and my uncles overcome it. I saw them, life kick them in the teeth. And I'm talking about stuff that will shatter people. Again, my grandparents lost their daughter. I know that we were talking earlier about how you and your wife met, and when you were talking about how y'all lost that child, I understood that because it's a tragedy that no family should have to go through as far as losing your kid,
Right.
or a kid losing their mom that early. But anyway, it directly molded and shaped me. I started. It was too much for my father. I was very, very troublesome coming up because I was being raised by a police officer and deacons of the church.
The double whammy.
Yes, I was not just the preacher's kid, but the cop's kid.
Yeah,
And I was like, I'm ready to rebel.
Yeah.
And
Burn it down,
yeah, I
baby.
was like, if Jesus paid for my sins, I'm getting my money's worth.
Yes, sir.
Now.
Yes.
And it was horrible. Yeah, I was running in every direction to figure out who I was as a person. And my family. I was also, I dealt with weight as a kid. This is a small size for me. I was 750 pounds at one point.
Wow.
And that was about when I was 18 to 20 something years old. 480 pounds playing football in high school. I just grew up um, not chasing drugs and alcohol like the rest of my friends were. I didn't really get into drugs and alcohol until I was in my 20s. And food was my drug. I stayed home. I stayed to myself. I cleaned out my dad's pantry. That's where I learned how to cook because my dad stopped buying junk food and all we had was real food. And I was like, how do I eat this then, And so at a young age, I grew up just kind of in a whirlwind of just psychological problems and just stuff that maybe not everybody has to deal with. And along that way, food was my drug, and I didn't realize that was going to be my tool to control my life as well. But it took a lot of hardships, and one of those hardships landed me in jail at 18. I had 9 weeks left to graduate. I had moved in with my grandparents. I was too much for my father, which I completely understand. God, he deserves a badge. All of them do, of honor for dealing with me. But
Right.
moved in with my grandparents to Beaumont, graduated, and went to school at Paul Brown, which was an alternative school for Westbrook and the other schools out here. Uh, I had 9 weeks left to graduate, and I went to jail. 9 weeks before I was about to graduate, I was in my 12th grade year, and I went to jail with grown men, um, and grown men that did not care about anything, and that's why they were in jail.
Right.
This is the lowest of the low. This is, the people who had rebellious problems, who had a disrespect for authority, who did not care about you or yours. They just cared about theirs and theirs.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned real quick at 18 years old, this is not where I want to spend the rest of my life.
Absolutely.
I was in there for 8 months. I turned 19 in jail. Uh, had Christmas in jail, Thanksgiving. The whole realistic story of like what you see on TV. My dad, my mom, my grandparents came to visit me, and they'd call you in, and you sat in front of a glass booth with a phone on both sides. And to see my dad and my mom, well, my stepmom at the time, they had met in jail. She was a nurse, he was a jailer.
Right.
But, just to go through that and your family to go through that, it's kind of it's a come to Jesus moment. You're a kid and you think you're bulletproof and you think life doesn't have rules until one day you face that wall of rules.
Yeah.
And when you face that wall of rules, it puts you in a place of, I was in jail and I saw people get out and come back. And I'm like, what are you doing? And they were like, next time I'm not going to get caught. I was like, what do you mean next time? What do you mean next time?
That's like, isn't it?
How I was a kid and you're an adult. And I'm going, that's not right. That's not, I don't ever want to come back to this place. Ever, ever. And when I got out, I told everybody I did have a drug problem because I moved in with my grandparents and they drugged me to church every time the doors were open. They were like, we're going to get this demon out. Whether it's the last thing we do or not. And I slowly started getting involved with church. I still have my bitter moments with that as an adult now, but it was definitely a savior from the path that I was on. And from church, I had an opportunity to go back and get my high school diploma at 21 years old, or I could get my GED. And for some reason, and I don't know, I wish I could go back and interview myself as a kid, but for some reason at 21 years old, I chose to go back to high school. And,
well, good for you, man.
I was like, I don't want my GED. I want my high school diploma. If this is my last year I can get it, then I'm going to get it. That means I was still presented the opportunity for it.
That took enormous courage.
It was embarrassing, being in high school, being 21, where you look like the teacher's aide, but you're really a student. And I still didn't quite learn all my lessons. I was buying beer for parties and stuff like that, But I slowly got put in a place where I was forced to grow. And I think, all of us have a purpose in life, and like the pursuit of purpose, like what we're talking about. And I love that because honestly, finding yourself is something that I think we should be trained or taught how to do from the moment we take that first breath of air. It's not the parent's job. I have a girlfriend now with a little girl. And I don't have any kids of my own. I was never blessed with that, but she's got a 4-year-old daughter. And I look at her sometimes and I'm like, absolutely, I want to spoil you. But at the same time, I need you to understand that one day life is going to be very, very hard, and you're going to have to be strong enough to take care of that.
That's right.
Because in that moment where I was in jail and decided I don't want to come back to this place, I had a decision to make. Am I going to be a career criminal with these guys? And this is my life now, or am I going to go a different path?
That's right.
And if my family wasn't kicking me the whole time, telling me that I'm stupid, telling me that I was, and it's like I said, it was rough. But they're like, these are dumb decisions. This is stupid choices. This is, you're not doing the right things. I didn't listen until I came to that wall where I had to make that decision of which way am I going in life? And today I use the term from inmate to in charge because, I'm proud of where I came from. I don't own Papados. I don't have, 5 under, I'm not doing 409, any of these big guys that have really well established, places that are just killing it. I don't have that.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I can't have that. I just feel like I have to work for it. And my whole life I've been taught from that moment when I made that decision to get my diploma, if you work for it, you can have it.
Well, let's just say that we haven't added that 3-letter word, that magic 3-letter word to that statement.
What's that?
Yet.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a goal we're working towards. And that's why I surround myself with people, if you're watching this, I surround myself with other establishments that I admire, that I admire their hustle. I admire their structure. I admire their success. I admire their creativity. When I did find myself in this world, I started just getting attracted to everything that was beautiful to me about it. Unique places. I love your old mom and pop places too, and they have their spots. But also, in this world, in this field of food, you've got to be creative, or it's not gonna. It's gonna fizzle out, especially in Southeast Texas.
Something I've noticed that I've observed about you and your methods and the way you behave. and it's something we espouse here to teach as a fundamental principle. You have never treated anyone else out there offering food as a competitor. You've never treated them that way. And I've watched you perform, and you have illustrated that truly you are your only competitor and that you attempt to be better every day than you were the day before.
Correct. The only person I'm trying to be better than was me yesterday. That's it. When we drop our menu items, when we're thinking of something new and creative, we don't own tacos. We didn't invent them.
Right.
We don't own burgers. We don't own wings. We don't own, hot dogs. But what I've seen and traveled around this world is flavors and layers and colors that not everybody has seen from this area.
That's right.
And I like to take that. Not everybody's traveled outside of Southeast Texas.
That's right.
You sure
Not
right.
everybody's traveled outside of Texas.
Right.
And I don't really count Louisiana as going outside of Texas.
Not far.
Or
Not
Mexico,
far.
right? But I mean, for the most part. But there's stuff out there that and like smash burgers. Smash burgers are not a hamburger. A hamburger. If I'm wanting a hamburger, I'll tell you right now, I'm going to Touch a Cajun or Hamburger Depot, where they've got some thick patties, and I'm adding lettuce, thick slices of tomato. I'm getting mayo, mustard. Your hamburger is your well, again, a poor class person's meal back in the day that we glorify and make it gourmet nowadays, but we
Right.
can enjoy it on our level.
So much of the food we eat was
Absolutely.
poor class meals from
So
back when.
smash burgers were the same thing. And the difference between the smash burger and the hamburger, and here's where I'm getting you got to be creative and almost re-educate this area. People not stepping outside of Southeast Texas. A smash burger was a poor man's meal. A smash burger is nothing new. A smash burger was back in the 1900s. These iron workers who were building, buildings and skyscrapers and stuff like that. These guys needed a quick lunch that they could eat and be satisfied with and get right back to work. And a smash burger, they were taking these balls of meat and just smash them as thin as possible. And they would cook in 60 seconds.
Yeah.
You didn't have to wait for that thick burger
Right.
to get medium or whatever it is. But none of this is new. I don't own any of it. I'm just trying to present my creative design of it. Same thing, like you said. So I don't have any other competitors in this food industry, and here's why. I'm not trying to serve your food. I'm trying to serve my food. I'm trying to serve my flavor. Do I serve wings? Yes, but I'm serving hot honey wings with waffles. And I'm serving duck wings. I'm serving ranch rub wings. I'm trying to create a flavor that nobody else has on their menu.
Yeah.
So that you can only get this if you come to our establishment.
And I love that.
I do too.
Manny's Melting Pot. Shout out to Manny Mendez. Manny Melting Pot came up to us a couple of days ago and said, "Hey man, a customer of mine wants me to cater an event, and they specifically want smash burgers." And I was like, "All right, cool." And he goes, "I just wanted to ask, he basically asked for our blessing." And I was like, "Go for it." You know what I mean? He goes, "Good, because I already bought everything." And I was like, "Can I do you one better?" I said, if you're gonna serve smash burgers, can I teach you what it is? Can I teach you what a smash burger is? Because if I don't want to fight the re-education of public where you're serving this and calling it a smash burger, and they come to me and get a smash burger, and that's two different items.
Yeah.
It's one thing to keep it traditional and put your spin on it, but don't put tomatoes in your gumbo and call it gumbo.
Right.
I went down to South Texas one time and somebody had a Cajun restaurant. It was not Cajun. I walked in, I ordered gumbo, it had peas, carrots. I was like,
no.
I said, "What is this?" And I like gumbo. I was like, okay.
My sister lives in southern Colorado, but we grew up between Texas and Louisiana. So she brings and she's a great cook. You guys would really get along. And she brings all of that experience up there with her. So she runs a museum, but occasionally these events would come up and she'll cater because it's just cheaper for her to do it. And she's got some of the catering dishes and things like that. And she'll come up, they have no idea. They go, "Oh, can I have more of that soup?" She goes, "It's called gumbo."
Yeah.
But she basically orders out of Baton Rouge her roux and all this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so she could keep it as authentic as she can. So but it's a cultural education. They have no idea.
And that's why when we started, I can't tell you. I did the Bayou Dragons podcast too. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with them, but they had me on, and I actually made smash burgers for them right there.
That's awesome.
They were like, "Dude, I wasn't." He goes, "I tried to make these 3 days ago, and I was not smashing those patties enough." A lot of people think you just want to press it and let it go, because you were taught as a kid or growing up, don't smash the meat, don't mess with the meat. Well, that's after it's been cooking.
Right.
You smash it while it's raw, you haven't pushed out any of that rendered fat or anything like that. So to really educate our public on what we're doing. We didn't just jump into this and start serving, mediocre gumbo with peas and carrots in it. We wanted to be like, hey, what is this dish?
Right.
When I first had a smash burger and I was intrigued by it, I was like, what is this? What is the root of this? What is the story of this? What is the purpose of this?
Right.
I mean, I'm trying to deliver what I tasted to Southeast Texas.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, even like you mentioned earlier about some of your rubs and the various things like that, that is a Southern experience. Absolutely. Because we can't go put our meat out in a creek somewhere up north where it'll freeze. We didn't have this, so we had to get creative with preservation, and then that turned into its whole appetite experience that we have down here.
To get back to what you were saying though about the competition, that's why I say there's no competition. Not because nobody's as good as me. I believe there's people out there that are just as good as me that that has writer's block. And as soon as that clicks and they come out with their own dish, or a spin on a classic, that's going to be their golden.
Absolutely.
But there's no competition, but not because we're better, but it's because I'm not focused on anybody else. I've got blinders on, and if everybody around me is winning or falling back, I promise you I don't notice it until somebody brings it to my attention or needs help or something like that.
And if they aren't winning, it's not because you did anything to stop them. You would help them if the opportunity arose. You're just winning for you
and my team
and your team.
And my
That's
team.
Right.
That's the only one.
And I love that.
And even my team, like we've got a new manager on Smashwagon, Jessica. Shout out to Jessica. She's an angel and she's answered a prayer. But there's new people that I've got coming in that I haven't been able to give my full attention to because I've got so many team members now. My business partner Nathan Walters is running Old West Smoke Company while I'm trying to get Smashwagon up and running so we can, we're trying to build something here. I don't really want to reveal what the next step is, but if we can get these two wheels running, then we're going to build an axle and a steering column.
Heck yeah.
But I forgot where I was going with that. But I don't have a lot of time and stuff nowadays to give to people like I did when I first started. But I also didn't have 3 businesses with 9 employees, and which isn't a lot to everybody else, but to me,
plenty.
To know that I'm helping families pay their bills, to know that my partner and I are taken care of because of the hustle that we have. That's what I'm focused on.
Right.
And somebody said something about one time about we need more business owners like you that aren't just after the money. I was like, dude, I'm gonna tell you this: we price our stuff so that we can pay our people, but when we create food, I don't think of the money. I'm thinking of like, this is what people are gonna like.
Right.
This is what this is gonna hit home. This is something that I would drive out of my way to go get.
Nice.
This is when that happens, I know the money and the business will follow.
That's exactly right. And you just illustrated something that's another key principle that we espouse and teach here is that your accomplishment is not the money itself. You're driving towards the actual accomplishment first, and the money will come after you. It will chase you down.
That's I told myself that this morning when I was getting dressed. I'm like, man, I'm not a millionaire by any means, but I don't chase money yet. But I don't chase money.
You don't have
money
to.
chases us.
That's
right.
And that's what I was getting after. I was never trying to chase money. I was trying to chase creativity.
That's it.
Art.
Yes.
You know what I mean? These burgers, these tacos, these quesadillas, these chicken sandwiches, these desserts. This is us literally behind the scenes as a team sitting down and going, what would taste good? What would go great with each other? What has not been done? What have we not done? And like we had this conversation yesterday with 3 of my team members, Nathan, my business partner, and Brad from Old West, and we're discussing a new drink for Old West, a signature drink for them, a signature dessert for them. We're trying to make sure that we are the best representation of ourselves as possible, and the business will follow. You have to be focused on the right thing. Don't chase the carrot.
Right.
Who's in charge of the carrot?
The guy holding the
Correct. Let me get that stick. Let me get that stick because I want to put whatever's on the end of it, and that's what I want to chase. I want to put what I want to chase on there. You know. Right. And now we're going in the direction that we want to go. So,
and that's what we work to focus on, help people focus on, is their pursuit of their purpose, their creation,
right?
And their creation, and that's what I love about what you just said.
And that's what I love about you guys' positions in life is because I'm going to be honest with you, I stumbled around for 40 years until I found out this formula. I didn't realize as a kid I chased the money. I was like, money. But I was like,
always ran from you because you were chasing.
Because I was chasing it, and the money's like, you don't have nothing of value.
Yeah.
Why would I want to attract myself to you as $100 bill when you got nothing I want to stick to?
That's right.
And you got plenty of people out there like that are just grabbing the dollar, working for this weekend, clocking hours in exchange for a paycheck with no purpose to it.
And it runs through their hands like water.
And they never see it, never miss it, never. No, they always miss it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's because you're chasing that dollar. When you find what you're supposed to do as your purpose in life, my purpose was to cook. And to mentor the people that came into my life. You know, when you find that purpose, you all of a sudden, nobody says it's going to be easy.
No,
by any means.
No,
Just because you found your purpose doesn't mean you walk the land of milk and honey by any means. You know?
Right. That's just a whole new phase of work begins.
Yes. Now life gets harder.
Yeah.
You know, but you found your purpose, so now you have that will to work past that hard work. You have that will to push past those moments that would normally make you stop and say, I'm done with this, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what purpose does for an individual. So I like y'all's aspect of it too.
Thank you.
It excites me.
We appreciate
Two things real quick. Talking about chasing the dollar. You mentioned when you were in prison and you saw these guys are now recycling back in. That's what I thought of when you said like they were chasing it.
Absolutely.
And that in that chase, it became so much more desperate. And in those desperate situations, they put themselves in the same.
That's a great analogy because you're right. That's a class example of what happens when you chase that dollar, because now you're willing to do anything for that dollar.
Yes.
Versus that dollar willing to do anything for you.
Right.
You know,
right.
I can't tell you, I had a guy the other day, his name is Slade, Fades by Slade. He's out in Mid-County. We were in Beaumont with Smash Wagon. We just came out with the Blue Dream, the dessert. And
I can't wait to try that.
Man,
right?
he drove an hour and a half round trip just to buy that dessert. And that's what I meant by the money chases you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't drive to Mid-County to go sell that thing. I parked, set up, and said, if this is every bit of the work that I put into it, then I will see right now today. And I had probably one of the biggest days in sales that we ever had since we've opened Smash Wagon, just by dropping that simple dessert.
Right.
That $4 dessert.
Right.
Which is the cheapest thing on our menu.
Right.
When I put this out there, I was going, we could charge $6-8 for this. I said, but I really want people to buy this. It's not about, I don't want to make $1 million off a biscuit.
Right.
You know, I do want to attract my customers though, and I want to give them a little bit more value for what they're coming for.
Right.
You know,
we were at dinner with a colleague of ours and becoming a really good friend. And we were sitting in this restaurant. We got to talk about similarly what you're mentioning. He said, "So y'all have eaten here before?" And we're like, "Well, yeah, we've been here before." He said, "So did you find it satisfactory?" And we're like, "Yeah, it was satisfactory." He goes, "Then it was wrong." Because it needed to be exceptional.
Ooh, I see.
Yes, and I would, when he said satisfaction, I'm like, yeah, I'm satisfied.
But you know what? That right there is what that's a struggle in my business. A lot of people are satisfied with Southeast Texas slop, and I say that respectfully.
No, I'm right.
You know, I'm talking about bowls of just, you know, goulash and just this or that, and just we're so satisfied with the unhealthy, greasy stuff we were raised on because, you know, one factor or the other. We don't know what a new exceptional experience is.
Right.
When you walked back, you came back to that establishment, correct?
Yes.
So you were obviously satisfied enough to come back.
Right.
But and I like the fact that whoever spoke to you said no, then it was wrong, because in their mind, they're going, they're really there for the food. They're not there for just your business. You know what I mean? If they were there for just your business, you said you were satisfied, they would have walked away.
Right.
But they're like, if you were just satisfied, I like that. As a creator, somebody behind the scenes, that means whoever's cooking, whoever's in that kitchen, is like, hey, something needs to be stepped up because we're not hitting it. You know?
Well, that's what made me think to tell you that story was about you and you got a small group of your folks together. Said, all right, it's creation time. Let's start putting things together using our experience to say, hey, is this working? Is this not working? You get another collective that one's going on the menu. So in the future, that's going to be a product.
And you know what's crazy? We've been blessed with the food truck because over the last going on 3 years now, we have put menu items out there. I put menu items out there that I thought was going to be a home run and people just didn't like it. And that's humbling too, because you're like, oh man, like I painted this picture and nobody likes my painting. And so I'm like, okay, well then if that's not, I learned to stop being mad at that and say, then what do you want?
That's it.
And people would come up to the truck, like Smash Wagon. When we started selling wings, they'd come up, y'all got wings? No, but do you want wings? You know what I mean? I mean, I don't mind making wings either if that's what it tells, because my hot dogs weren't selling. I had the Chicago dog. I made a relish for this. I mean, I made everything out of for this hot dog, and nobody was ordering it. You know, I bought 45 cases of hot dogs and 3 freezers so that I could be stocked up for these things for the fair, and I've still got 40 cases of hot dogs. And so I was like, "What's going on?
Right.
I can't sell these hot dogs." I wrap bacon around it, drop it in the deep fryer, and let them dress it how they want to instead of me saying you can have your dog this way or that way. I can't stop selling them now.
Wow.
So it's really you have to listen to your customers, you know? And that's great that they asked that question to you because he wanted to hear your answer. But you gotta just like this business.
Yeah.
You know, when somebody comes in and tells you, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I'm doing that, and in your head you're like, those are all the wrong things.
Right.
So now we know your issue. You know, let's work on that. Same thing in the food industry. I was like, why can't I get these people to like my work and my, you know, this and that? And I realized I was like, man, that's maybe it's before its time. Maybe it's ahead of its time. Maybe it's just not it. Maybe you're freaking weird, you know?
One of the things that we've done in pursuit of purpose is when we get to just chatting and interviewing with people, and Rob's really good at this, and just getting to know them, and then all of a sudden there's a nugget that they have no idea is just a seed, and the seed was like the idea about the dogs. Dogs will sell, but how will they sell? Correct. And then once he gets that inquiry going, all of a sudden people, oh, I never thought about that. You know, that happens so often, and it's fun to watch.
I've had people tell me, you know, oh, your tacos are just a fad, your burgers are just a fad, and I'm telling myself, like, dude, tacos and burgers are not a fad. I have been eating tacos. My grandparents have been eating tacos and burgers.
100 years or more.
So tacos and burgers are not a fad. What the fad is this type of taco, or that type of burger, or and that's and that is okay.
Yeah.
But if you build your business just off that fad, when that fad's over, so are you. You know, and that's something that we kind of had to figure out along the way too, because some of our food was, I hate to say gimmick food because but it is. It's something niche food. Correct. Yeah. And it's something that you wouldn't have gotten anywhere else. We consider it what we call street food. You know, like our hot Cheetos that we fry. I mean, our mozzarella sticks that we fry in hot Cheeto dust. It has a red, just bright looking outer shell to it. Honestly, when you bite into it, you can't taste the Cheetos.
Right.
But the color is appealing.
Yeah.
The look is appealing. You know what I mean? And it's you've got to correct.
Yeah.
And so some of those things are cool, and some of those things are fads, and they can be sold out. I saw somebody on Best Buy the other day say, first it was birria tacos, now it's smash burgers. She's like, I wish everybody would just serve something different. And I'm going, hey, yeah, I was like, birria tacos are not new. Smash burgers are not new. I said, what you really need to do is find out the origin of this food and seek out somebody that's selling the most authentic version.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what, you know, it is a bandwagon thing right now. And a lot of people are jumping on it, but like going back to the re-education of the food, a difference between a hamburger and a smash burger, find somebody that knows these things behind the scenes and try their food. You know, there are a handful of those around here.
Right.
And there are a handful of other people that are selling smash burgers and doing really good at it. Redbird's Barbecue in Port Neches, Neches Brewing Company, Broke Boys, which is another food truck. I want to say that those are probably some of the most original smash burgers that I've seen. There are a bunch of other people selling them, but as far as back to the origin of it, these guys right here are putting their own twist on a nice classic.
Well, I want to point something out to you that you may not be aware. But it's really amazing to watch this in action, okay? Something we work to help people learn how to do is to become perpetual students, to become people living their life by the question. If you look behind you on this big poster thing, it says what if at the top, and it says question everything at the bottom. And I've noticed in every story you've told, you're asking internal questions.
Absolutely.
About how, what if, why, what's next.
You have to be honest with yourself.
And that is one of the core reasons that's attributing to your growth, success, and reinvention.
I was not aware of that.
And I want to point out to you that's there and commend you for it. That's amazing. And you said something earlier about how you didn't get here until after 40.
Right.
Well, I want you to understand that is actually normal. In fact, you're a little bit ahead of the game.
Really?
You would be amazed to find out. You talk about the history of your burgers and learning about the history of food and the truth behind it. Well, the truth behind us, our culture, and our society is that the most successful among us, so many of them, the majority of them, in fact, weren't until after the age of 40. and they learn how to reinvent themselves and pursue their purpose.
You say reinvent, and I agree with that. I say finally found. Because I've been reinventing myself for 39 years,
Exactly,
or 35 years. Big Rich Corville with Corville's Catering. He was a good friend of my father's, and when I was in college, I needed work, and actually that's where I started in the food industry was Corville's Catering, and I give the base of almost everything I know to that family, and I genuinely mean that, and I love them to this day. But Big Rich told me when I was working for him, he goes, Juss, I didn't get my break till I was in my mid-30s. He goes, you think I'm successful and you see this and you see that. He goes, I didn't get my break until my mid-30s. And I think I was 29, maybe 30 years old, because like I said, I went to high school back at 21. So college was, a few years after that. But you're right. And I'm excited to be on this podcast for a couple of different reasons. Number one, it's cool to tell my story and people be interested. But number two, like you said, these little formula things that we found out, no one taught me this stuff. No one sat me down and said, let's talk about some real stuff and let's go over, and so it's nice to see that we've cracked the code along the way, but like you said, with the audio and stuff, it took you a while to understand. Just because you had the pamphlet and the books and stuff in front of you doesn't mean the equipment was working like it's supposed to.
That's right.
Because we didn't know how to work it.
Right.
But once it clicked and once you figured it out the hard way. Now you've got a successful thing going with the audio, the video, because you learned that. You took those bumps and bruises and didn't say this doesn't work, this isn't a thing.
Right.
And it's the same thing with life. And we have figured this out. Same thing with the food. I don't want to use cuss words, but there's a phrase called, screw around and find out.
Yeah.
And I tell people that this business specifically, and probably every other business and life, has always been about screw around and find out. I can't tell you how many briskets I burned and dried out.
Oh yeah.
Before I ever even really knew how to cook a good brisket.
Right.
And then when I thought I knew how to cook a good brisket, I met people from Texas Monthly, like Tony Salazar, Tony Salazar, and Travis and Blue up there from 1701, and these guys
killing,
man. They showed me a whole new level of
right.
What craft barbecue really meant. And
wow.
That's why there's no competition for me, because I'm not the best. I want to learn from everybody that's doing it the right way.
Right.
Not just everybody. I want to learn from everybody that's doing it the right way.
There's an amazing fact of life, and I'm sure you would probably agree with this, that even when you find the one that you view as the best, they will tell you they're not the best.
Yeah.
They're always looking to become better.
Matter of fact, so a couple of guys that I would consider a mentor would be, I don't think I've ever publicly said this, but Blue Broussard, Travis from 1701. Those two guys have been huge behind the scenes. Talk to me about life kind of stuff. Not just
I'd love to have them on here someday.
Tony Salazar, when I first got started in this industry, he's with Taste of Texas, Tex-Mex Barbecue, some of the best barbecue I've had, hands down, across Texas, period. Those guys sat and poured into me, and they're not like me where they're cutting up and active and in the front of people's faces in the first thing in the morning. You're going to catch those guys behind the scenes at a barbecue pit.
Yeah.
You're going to catch those guys behind the scenes doing their craft and doing it well. They're not out there bragging about it. They're not out there, saying they're the best or beating their chest or anything like that. These guys are very quiet. They're humble in what they do, and they are some of the freaking best that I've ever had. It's that I admire that. That's a portion of me I can never have, because I'm also my marketing director. I'm also my, this, my that. So it's, I don't get to sit behind the scenes and be quiet. But those guys that do, I admire the heck out of them.
Right.
Well, I want to inform you about something else about you that you seem to not know.
All right.
So you may have to be your marketing director. You may have to be loud and in people's face and everything like that. But let me just say, you are humble.
Thank you.
You are not arrogant in any way. And in order for you to perform the way that you do, you must possess a high level of humility. And I'm proud to know you. I've been proud to watch you for this brief amount of time that I've been able to watch you and see the growth that you've had. It's amazing. And I want to tell you something else that I've noticed. And after I've heard this story that you've given, and I'm very proud to offer you this medium to share your story.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for being here. But something I've noticed is you talked about the history and the purpose behind foods, old foods, burgers, smash burgers, and things like that, tacos, whatever it may be. Well, the amazing thing is you're a living piece of that type of history.
Mm-hmm.
You just gave the elements to the story of your creation.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope it's inspirational to other people who may be going through. So I'll give you, for instance, you went into jail 9 weeks before you graduated. You saw that as a problem. In truth, it was an opportunity.
Absolutely.
Had you not gone through those ingredients to your smash burger, the burger might not ever have been created.
Yeah.
The taste may not have been attractive to your audience, to
Correct.
your customers. So the ingredients that have created the recipe for your life were perfect
and necessary.
Right. So all of those things you went through were just opportunities for growth to build this
character, flavor,
the flavor that you have brought to the world. And I'm proud of you, man. That's amazing.
I appreciate that. And I'll tell you, that's a humbling thing to hear too, because like not chasing the dollar, I don't chase the inspiration either. I feel like when I wake up and I start posting, man, it's for no other reason than I am in the mood to do business. I am in the mood to get up and do, if you are not waking up every morning, every morning I post a rise and grind post. It might be a funny post, it might be a serious post, it might be something that doesn't have anything to do with me, but it could still click for somebody else.
Right.
But every morning I wake up and I tell myself rise and grind, and it's because I don't know how long I have here. None of us do. None of us know our expiration date. I have a feeling that I have lived more than half of my life. If I lived to be 80, that would be a miracle, just because of my health issues, weight, stuff like that. Not that I'm not trying to stay on top of that, but what I'm getting at is every day that I wake up right now, if I do not chase my dreams like it's the last thing I'm going to be able to do today, I'm wasting my time here. When I got sober, and sober means something different to me than what it means to everybody else. To me, it was not losing control. To me, it was not being the man that I was at 2 o'clock in the morning, pitch black drunk and doing things or saying things that I had no business doing or saying. When I decided to get sober and take control of my life with the alcohol, that's when I'll never forget, dude. I dropped it 8 days after I stopped drinking. And I said, I have never felt more clear of mind in my life. And I cannot wait to see what I accomplish. And so many people were like, you're going to accomplish more? Like you've already been driving and hammering and hitting and this. And that's when we came out with Smash Wagon. And I was like, dude, I am not done finding myself. I am not done building my home that my people that I leave behind will live in. I'm not done leaving my legacy. And matter of fact, I'm wasting my freaking time by acting this way and drinking this stuff and doing these things. I used to be the guy that you would absolutely see at the bar, the strip club, the nightclub, whatever, after hours. I was there and we were gonna party and I was gonna talk you into it if you weren't feeling it. Because I didn't know that I was running from a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize, I didn't get sober because I realized I was running from stuff. I got sober because I had people on my team going, I really believe in you, but this makes me question things. And when my own team is telling me that stuff, it made me step back and go, hold up.
Right.
I didn't have the huevos to do it for me. But when it was affecting my people, I was like, man, I got to stop this. And when I took that part of my life back, we elevated and we grew. Our employees doubled, our business doubled, our goals now doubled.
Yeah.
When we were going back then, we need a second truck. Now we're going, we need a third. And it's getting to a point where we are sober minded and as clean as can be, and as a team just chasing a goal. And I have had to slap the hands of people on my team a couple of times going, that's not my vision, that's not this. And that's something too, man. When you have grown people submitting to your vision, that's something that needs to be handled with care too, because I can't just tell these people, don't do that, this is mine.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's not how, don't do as daddy does. Not
it becomes ours.
Now it's ours.
Yeah.
Let me teach you why I want to do it this way.
Yeah.
Right.
I've got Nate and Brad running Old West thinking about dropping a new dessert, and they're passing it by me on these new menu items, and I'm going, I'm impressed. When we first got together, Nate wanted to serve brisket grilled cheese. It's like, bro, you know how many friggin' barbecue places out here sells this crappy brisket grilled cheese on this dry freaking Texas toast from Walmart, and it's just not nothing that I want to be a part of.
And
or
what Nathan
associated
said, well,
with.
ours ain't gonna be like that.
Well, no, Nathan was like, well, I just don't understand. He didn't understand it first 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
He didn't understand.
Okay.
He didn't understand layer. He didn't understand flavor. He didn't understand aesthetics. He didn't understand, you know, so many things that go into a sandwich, not just a pile of slop.
Yeah.
You know, not just a sloppy Joe on something.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that him and Brad are really taking charge of some of the menu items, they're sending me their ideas. And I'm going, you guys have learned.
They got it.
They know
They
what
got
I'm looking for. And not because it's me, but because I expect greatness.
Right.
And if I expect greatness out of myself, I expect it out of you if you're going to be on my team. And these guys got it.
Awesome.
You know, and it's cool to see intentionally me teaching some things and passing some things on. You know, they may not want to give me credit because we're all guys. And, you know,
Right.
but, you know, it's cool to see me unintentional. This was my vision.
Yeah, he just quit watching the show.
I started this out of the back of my car, dude. You know, I didn't even have the money. Somebody told me in the beginning, you're a dreamer, and you need money to do that. And I said, I am a dreamer. Thank you.
Yes.
No, I do not need money to do this. I need the vision.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I had
Nor
the
do
vision.
you need their permission.
Correct. Yeah,
or
that's
approval.
great too.
Yeah.
And which this person who told me that is still a very good friend of mine today. But I think some people just don't understand what the supernatural can take place until they see supernatural things take place.
Right.
You know what holds most people back? It's crazy, okay? Or not most, but holds some people back. They're waiting on the approval of the last people on earth that'll ever give it to them. Do you know who that is?
Nobody.
Your peers.
Oh.
Your peers are the last people on earth that will ever give you the approval that you seek.
You're absolutely
They're
right.
the first ones you seek it from.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it goes back to a biblical principle. Familiarity breeds contempt.
I was gonna say, you know, it's doing that is because just like you know, the people who knew Jesus beforehand, when he went to perform his first miracle. Now that we're on you know, a biblical sense, but yeah, how many people were like, dude, you're not gonna turn that water into wine,
Right.
You're freaking crazy.
Yeah.
You know, you don't. It's never been done.
And even if you do it, I'm not drinking.
Yeah, I'm not drinking no hooch. You know, Jesus hooch.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing, man. Like I think when I got doubted by people at first, some people believed in me and they knew, and I was hiding my capabilities all along. And those people are still by me, never once backed up. Some people were like, I know what you did. I know where you've come from.
Exactly.
They're thinking I'm capable of that, not thinking I'm capable of this. And I'm going, I know that you know where I was, but that's not where I want.
But you don't know where I'm going to be.
Correct. And I'm clawing and digging and grabbing my way to get out of this.
Right.
Right.
You know,
How close is that familiarity? Jesus' own brother.
right?
That's one of the last of the core, because it's like you won't believe it. Yeah, because he was there for the first 30 years before Jesus got the power.
So
Once he got the power, once he was given the power, I'm not taking my preacher and pastor's jobs here, but at 30 he got the power, and then his brother started to see it, because all he saw was 30 years of carpentry and all the other things, and going to school and doing whatever goofing around kids did. That's all he saw. Then I get it. That's probably what all our people saw.
Probably, but that's also, it's a what I have learned, like you said, I don't market to my family. I don't market to my friends. I don't market to my matter of fact, I love you guys to death, but I can't remember the last time I saw a friend or family member at my food truck. And I love these guys. I know they're busy with their own lives and stuff like that, but how easy is it to swing by and grab a burger at lunch? My uncles have been there, but what I'm getting at, and there have been a few friends, and I love you guys that do show up, and I don't hate the guys that don't show up, but what I am getting at, you cannot rely on your warm market, which is your friends and family, to get your business started, or sustain your business.
Well, you guys that are family and friends of his, y'all are missing out if y'all ain't showing up. Shame on you. I'll eat your share every chance I get, I promise.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's you're right. You don't need the approval of people. When that guy told me that I was a dreamer, I have since created. We have since. I said I so long that I've got a team now, and I'm really trying to retrain that. We have since created a barbecue festival where we have had thousands of people flood through gates to come support local business.
I was there. I saw
on the Avenue, which the Avenue was one of my first starts in life. When I didn't have a food trailer, when I didn't have a menu, when I didn't have a following, they let me set up with a banner outside and sell my food. And that's where I got my break there in Struggle Street. And so I wanted to bring revenue back to the avenue to show my people from day one who love me what I'm capable of.
Right.
You know, it was never about me. The money we raised from the tickets we donate to the police department. You know, it was never about the dollar. It was about the success. It was about accomplishing something.
That's right. It was about the accomplishment, the creation. I'm going to point out something else to you about yourself that maybe you haven't gotten to see, maybe no one's ever said it, but I keep hearing you say it, and I'm also watching the feed of people that are watching the show
Talking to
a little bit. No one's asked any questions yet, but if they do, we'll bring it up. But something I wanted to point out to you about your performance, about your behavior and patterns. You're a true leader. Have you ever been titled that way before?
Absolutely.
And what qualifies someone to be a true leader is that they create other leaders. They empower others to become what they're built to become.
Oh, dude, I've got 3 people right now that I expect to leave and do their own thing one day. They're not going to stay with me forever. I'm thankful for the time I have them right now because they don't understand how good they are. But being able to build that up and one day saying, "Wow, I'm not mad at you. You know, go do your thing." You're right. That is a capability. I haven't seen that ability in myself until just now. But the reason that I know that I'm a leader and I can say that confidently is because I will go take the trash out with you. I will get on my knees and scrub this mess with you. I will come out here and sweat and get dehydrated and serve this lunch with you. And until you have learned to do it to the best of my trustworthy ability, I'm not leaving you. And you're going to learn how to do this. You're not just going to get thrown into a position and say, do this. You can't judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree.
Right.
You can't judge
I like that. I hadn't heard that one before. I like that.
Why would I just throw you into this? And then when you fail, me go, God, you're stupid. You know, I have no business putting you in this spot unless we're about to say, all right, you're going to shadow me and watch me do it. And then I'm going to put you in the mix. And then I'm even going to grab your hand while you're doing it so you can understand the motions here, what's going on. You know, we're going to get real Patrick Swayze with it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I can say that confidently. I am a leader. And the only reason I think I can say that confidently is because I am here doing my best to show my people what it takes to do this. And I'm not too good to run to the dumpster. I'm not too good to pick up this oil spill. I'm not too good to, you know, if it needs to be done, I'm not going to be like, well, y'all have fun. I'm going to be like, all right, let's get it done.
Right. I think you're doing better than giving your best. I think you're giving your all.
I am 100%.
And that's just from the outside looking in. I really appreciate you.
There's 3 fruits that I think have to be balanced with humility, and I see it. So I'm about to say it. So I see it, and that is we have to be courageous, and that's not just the courage to invest, but also the courage to even confront. Like we confront ourselves every morning. That's my biggest competitor. The next one is to be a creator. So I can't. When I first started coaching, I had an older coach that I was talking to, and he said, "So let me ask you something." He said, "Do you know everything there is to know about basketball?" I go, "No." He goes, "Exactly. All you're going to do is repeat and improve on what's already been done because it's too big." And I thought, okay. And then the last thing is generous. Like you're teaching these other guys who you fully expect to be your legacy. I think of these now they're infamous in our minds, these college and NFL coaches or whatever. And if you'll look them up, there's a whole section on their legacy. All the guys that started out as their assistants.
I'm actually surprised on what some of them used to be. You see them as this superstar, and you look back, you're like, they used to do this, or that's how they got there. You know?
Right, exactly. And so somebody though took an interest, and more than just I'll give you a chance. They actually taught them, and then they went on, and now those guys are having legacies, which is pretty cool.
That is cool, and it's like I said, I do feel like I could. There's not some things I can't confidently say about myself because I haven't owned them, and that's just me being human with you. You know, there's some things that when y'all say that I'm humble, I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like there's a level of arrogance about me, but not because it's cocky, but because it's needed.
That's confidence.
Confidence.
That's not arrogance.
Right, not arrogance.
And but I mean, there are things that I haven't owned about myself, and I'm glad we get to break this down as a person so that I can also let other people see who I am. I'm more than just a Facebook clown or somebody trying to crack whips and run a business, but I'm a human trying to be the best human I can be. And in the process of me doing that, I'm hoping to God that I'm watering other humans. I have a girl that works for me now. I don't want to go too deep into it, but she had plans where she was at and she was gunning towards this goal. And all of a sudden she was grabbed by the hair, uprooted and planted where we're at. and it has broke her down. It has made her feel like she's a failure. And I was like, listen to me. This is conversations I get to have with my employees. This is why I don't, and I really rarely call them employees. I do that for y'all's namesakes, but these are my team members. These are my member, my team.
That's it.
And I talked to her and I said, listen to me. You're never going to be able to grow here if you can't understand that the past person that you were submitted yourself to failed is not your failures. You know what I mean? Maybe you needed to learn something very mean and ugly from that individual so that you don't repeat that in life. I don't know, but that doesn't mean that you're the failure.
That's right.
You're like we talked about earlier. She's a seed. I said, not only did you get uprooted, and now you feel like you're getting stepped on. You are getting stepped on, but what they didn't realize is you're a seed.
They're planting you.
They're planting you. You have to get stepped on.
Right.
In order for wine to become wine, a grape can't serve its purpose until it's crushed.
Right.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
And rotted and
Correct.
put through all kinds.
Yeah, it's stuff where
changes.
you would think that that's no good anymore.
Right.
This grape has fermented. This is gross. Give it a little bit more time. That's the ugly transition part that we have to consume.
That's it.
As a human.
Right.
We have to throw up. We have to look nasty. We have to, I can just only imagine a human in the shower just defecating and urinating and throwing up on themselves. That's what that transition feels like to me, because it's the ugliest you will ever be to yourself. You're vulnerable as can be. You've realized you're wrong, maybe made wrong moves, went in the wrong direction. And now you really have to look at yourself as a person and say, and that's why I paint that picture, because to me it's getting all of that junk just out of your body. And then when you stand up and you shower and you clean yourself off, you're going, okay, no more crap.
The smell is gone. The junk is gone. The look is gone.
Better. I don't have this on my skin anymore. I'm not wallowing in it.
That's right.
In my mess. I told you earlier I never had kids, but I was given this analogy growing up. And a baby, when it is wearing a diaper, toddler, okay, let's just say infant, 2 years old, and they mess on themselves. If that baby is not ready for you to change their diaper, they will run from you. They will jump. They will smear this stuff all over the couch. They will, use the restroom more while you're taking the diaper off. But when that baby has sat in its own mess and it's raw and it knows something's wrong, it will start screaming for you.
Yeah.
Please change me. Please change me. Something's not right. I thought it was real cool to sit in this poop and it's just not working out. Same thing, man. I was not ready for change when my family was preaching to me, when my family was saying, stop, you're headed in a bad direction. When they said, please, son, don't do these things. It's just going to hurt you. I can't tell you how many times I could not get jobs in the future because of the stupid crap I did when I was 18. And it affected me all the way until my 30s, when I finally decided I'm going to do this for myself, because I'm tired of other people looking at what I used to be.
Right.
Well,
I'm going to use your own analogy like on you. I was going to say against you, but it's on you. So what happened, it sounds like, what happened was the seed was planted long ago, but you had to stomp it way down deep.
Some good soil. All that
way down deep in there before it would be allowed to grow. And that was the process you were going through until you reached that moment where you said, all right, I'm ready for this to grow now.
And I'm still growing. We're all still growing.
Well, yeah.
This is part of watering ourselves right now.
How tall will a tree become?
Man, is I don't know.
As tall as it can.
Yeah, I was gonna say
they never stop growing.
I was gonna say my tree's gonna grow until I take my last breath, and then hopefully, that tree lives on. I'm hoping that whether it's a branch, whether it's a leaf, whatever, that stays behind and affects the next, cycle of business owners or just good humans. You don't have to be a business owner. Just be a developmental, good human.
Right. Well, I view you much like an oak tree in your journey, in that the oak tree comes from one acorn, right?
Absolutely.
And that one acorn, once it germinates, if it's in good soil, it becomes a tree. And that one tree produces how many acorns? What's the potential within one acorn? How many potential other oak trees can be created? And you say you hadn't had kids, but I would challenge you that you have reproduced from yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
Many times over. And you continue to do so even through what you're doing right now. You're offering your life as inspiration and sacrifice for others to be inspired from and learn from.
And I appreciate that. And And again, it was never about chasing the dollar, chasing the inspiration. It was about me evolving. You know, when I say I have blinders on, I'm not focused on who I'm inspiring or who's seeing or who's watching. I'm really not, man. What I'm trying to do is making sure I don't mess this up. You know, and in the process of trying not to mess it up, I think other people just see that and they're going, "Oh, this can be done."
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I'm watching it happen right before my eyes. Like this guy, you know, it's so weird to understand. I've some people have called me what is it, Beaumont famous or Southeast Texas famous, whatever it is. I'm not after that. You know, and my business partners, they see me get a lot of credit and a lot of accreditation, and I tell them, and it's hard for them to. I know it's hard for them to hear this, but I do know that they understand this. I'm not after that.
Right.
I'm not after the accreditation. I'm not after the acknowledgement. I'm not after the. What I'm after is to be the absolute most beautiful version of myself I can. I believe I just turned 40, by the way, in December, all the way up until my 40th birthday. And I guess the 40s, this decade, is going to teach me some stuff I didn't know about myself either.
100%.
But all the way up until my 40s, I even look back, like when I said my team members, the reason I stopped drinking was because my team member said, "Hey, you're a different person, and I don't know if I want to be associated with this," you know, because of the alcohol. Up until my 40th birthday, I was still a toxic individual with toxic behaviors that needed corrections, you know? I was hurting people unintentionally
Right.
with my behavior. I was hurting people unintentionally, you know, people that I cared about and genuinely loved, because I didn't understand that I still had a sickness inside of me that needed to be dealt with.
Yeah.
You know, and now I'm dealing with this thing, and now it's not easy for me to see. Wow, I was the problem for some of my relationships. Wow, I was the issue in this, you know, in this situation right here. And then I'm going, how can I not do that again? When this situation occurs in life again, I would like to handle this differently and be a different human about it. You know, it really slows your process down and lets you communicate with other people better if they're able to communicate with you. You know what I mean? 'Cause
Right.
that's the tricky thing about humans. I can learn all I want to, but if you haven't learned anything, we're still not gonna click. You know?
Well, do you view yourself as a success, Jess?
Not yet.
Why? What about you do you believe to be unsuccessful?
But when you say it like that, I don't know if I can say I'm unsuccessful, but I do not consider myself successful. And the reason is I have a dream right up here that ground hasn't even been broken on yet, as far as physical ground.
Okay.
Not spiritual or mental. And mental ground is broken. Mental ground is built, you know. But I haven't made it there yet, and not just. And I will probably die thinking I'm not successful. I think most of the people that are my mentors, I think it takes an incredible amount of humility to say I'm successful, and which is not a bad thing. You know, I think that there are people out there that if they can say they're successful and they own that, it's because you've reached that level of owning it. I haven't reached that yet.
Okay.
I still struggle to pay my bills. I need $2,800 by this Friday for bills, and if we don't have a good week this week and I can't pay my team members first, and then there's money left over for me, I'm scared that I'm going to have to call somebody and say, "Hey, I'm going to be late on bill," or I'm going to have to do, you know, that's why I figure I'm not successful, because I'm still struggling to be what I would like to be. I feel like if I've success to me, and for me to say I'm successful means that when I wake up tomorrow, I'm not worried about the bills being paid. I'm not worried about my team getting paid. I'm not worried about business doing good. I'm not worried about whether we're going to have a bad week or not, because I feel like I've created a blanket that we could all lay on when times are hard. That's what I would consider successful. Not struggling through hard times when everybody else is struggling.
Yeah.
If me and my team can eat, drink, and sleep when it's hard times, then I feel like maybe I would consider myself successful.
Well, I hope that after today we start to redefine your version of success a little bit. Because at least from the outside looking in, I would consider you to be successful. As a man, you have discovered and reinvented yourself. You have left what we would call the old ways behind, and you have began anew. And I don't make any of these overly religious or anything like that. You have endeavored to embark on a journey that other people would say that's just too much work. That's not only it's impossible. You're never going to do that. You're just who barely made it through high school at 21 years old.
At 21.
And like you're just like that's what I heard you say. People were basically giving you that message. And look at you. You have 9 people who count on you to help them, to guide them, to lead them, to help them become the leaders that they're becoming. What better constitutes success than that? And I'm going to tell you this: at no matter what financial level you attain, there's always going to be that same stress. The same stress you feel now. Mm-hmm. If you were to wake up in the morning and suddenly become a billionaire, I promise you, the stress is going to be there. Your eyes may see at a different plane. You may be dealing with different levels of stuff, but the same stress still exists. So I hope that we can work to redefine your version of how you view yourself in the terms of being successful.
I would like to, because it's like we were talking about earlier. I feel like if business is not my focus, because business is not my focus. My focus is creativity. My focus is my passion. My focus is my art. We talked about the business comes and follows that. If the business is not my purpose or not my focus for my purpose, then I don't think it should be my focus for my definition of success. If you're asking me if I feel successful and I'm talking about me as a human, yes. I feel like I've come out of a lot of stuff. I feel like I've been successful at a lot of stuff. I guess the humility part of me wants to say that I know I have so much more to go through, so much more of me to die to, so that the new part could live.
That's part of success, though.
Are you? So I feel like I'm in the middle of success. I just don't know when I can say I'm successful.
Would you say that you're dreading that, or would you say that you're aspirational, looking forward to that?
Forward to that.
Well, then that is success. That's what Rob was getting to. It is a system. It's a paradigm that through all of those experiences, from losing your mother at 2 all the way to where you are now at 40. So for the last 38 years, you've been formulating this whole paradigm system
for success
to approach whatever yesterday's tomorrow is going to bring, and then the generosity of passing that on. That's what we perceive as success. And please embrace that.
And this is a real raw moment right now. So, but I mean, yes, I will. It will take me time to digest that once I leave here. But I think that you guys have helped me kind of open up and accept that or claim that. You know,
I'd like to give you some more facts about Juss, if you wouldn't mind. Sure. Just making more observations. You have attained levels of success in multiple aspects. Okay, first of all and foremost is yourself in your own growth. Then you've created food. Okay, now you didn't invent the smash burger, you didn't invent the taco or barbecue or whatever, but you created your own signature versions of these things. Then you created a team around you that could multiply your efforts and bring those food ideas to themselves first, to adopt the way of thinking, and then bring it to the world. So pay attention now, because Juss has created lives more so than you realize. You have created vision. You have created synergy around something that wasn't before.
Right. And hopefully, because my goal, and again, something I would say I would make me feel successful, is if these people around me, and like I said, I know some of these guys are going to watch this, and I'm just to these guys. I'm not just. They wouldn't plant themselves around me. I don't think so. If they didn't.
It's kind of my fault that he said just. I put that in there a minute ago. But, I'm gonna get T-shirts made. Just.
That's right.
If I could get these guys to adapt, to growth and mental health and things like that behind the scenes. When I want someone working with me on our team, it's not because I'm like, dude, you need to do this, and I'm going to leave and just get the job done. Don't talk to me about it. Don't do this. That's not who I am. I'm constantly, if you have a question, contact me. If this is this, contact me. But more importantly than you doing this job today, how are you as a human? Where's your mental health at? I've had these breakdown conversations with several of our team members and myself, and those guys have helped me. That's why I say it may be hard for my team to hear this sometimes, because they are helping me grow as much as I'm helping them grow.
Yep.
This is not, I am a leader and I did create this, but at some levels on mental health, we are all equals.
That's it.
We're humans.
That's it.
Oh, yeah. Team. There is no
100%.
They do call me boss, or they do call me this, but in my mind, I'm like, hey, just, call me Juss.
Just.
Yeah, just Juss. But I would feel successful, and it would make me feel successful if I could pass that on to my people. My business partner, Nathan Walters, is probably the one human in this world who has seen me mess up headstrong. I did it with every intention.
Gusto. You put it all
I messed up on purpose and loudly. And it bit us in the butt, and then I'm realizing, man, Nate's a part of me now. I can't just go act like this when I'm upset.
Right.
And he will see me behind the scenes regret my decision. He will see me feel ugly and nasty and
remorse.
Yeah. And he will see me understand that this is not how I need to behave from here on out. And he has seen me make those changes. I talked to him. There was one point where another restaurant owner had to tell us something, and when he was about to tell us, he goes, "You don't tell that to Juss. He's not going to take it well." And I'm going, you know what? But with every right, because I have snapped and I have done this and I have argued and I was like, you know what? That right there was a stab that I felt that I needed, though. I needed to hear that. You don't expect me to stop and listen and pay attention, then let me stop and listen and pay attention, because obviously I'm not practicing that enough around you, and I have built over the last 2.5 years a relationship with this man. That's why sometimes you'll see me on Facebook saying that, that we're dating, or, because his wife, it was just we had our friend anniversary on Facebook the other day, and she's got a picture of him and I've got a picture of him. And I was like, we knew we'd be dating the same guy one day. But because I relate it to a marriage almost. Nathan has been the best relationship I've ever been in. And it's because when this man, I can't tell you how many people came up to me with money and said, I want to be your business partner. And I'm like, nope, because one day I'll be working for you.
Right.
And that's not what I want.
Right.
I don't care if I got to work in the dirt for 5, 10, 15 years. I will not sell my soul or part of this business.
Right.
And when Nathan came along, he didn't even offer me money. He had something inside of him that he was about to teach me, and I understood it. And it was about life. It wasn't about business. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about any of that. Matter of fact, I was teaching him all the food stuff. I was teaching him the business aspect of it. He came from the nightclub life. For the past 20 years. He didn't have to do business. People are going to drink, whether it's good, bad, ugly times, whatever. But when he came in, well, I lost my train of thought where we were going with that. Nathan has seen me change and morph and do these things. And when he came in, I was still bitter, had an attitude, had somewhat of a chip on my shoulder. And he watched all that just erode off of me, and change me as a human, because who I was 3 years ago when I first started this, where owning a business is cool, dude. Anybody that's walking around going, I'm a business owner, it's like, not yet. Not yet, you're not. If you're saying it happily like that, business owner means something that it's in your stomach. And
yes.
It's impacted in there, and you have to live with that.
Right.
Nathan was this person who had so much to teach me in life. I didn't hesitate to jump at his partnership.
Cool.
He had a few assets that we have grown more since we've been together. He was the first food trailer that I ever stepped in. That was his. He bought it for him and his wife. They had Smash Wagon originally, so they were doing smash burgers, and I was doing Old West. And his wife didn't want to do smash burgers anymore, and so he had this food trailer that nothing was happening with. And he goes, "What's keeping you from growing?" I said, "Assets." He said, "What's?" I said, "What's keeping you from growing?" He goes, "I don't have food to serve." And I said, "Well, we both kind of like drew a line in the sand with our foot and was like, well, you want to team up and, and become partners, and for the first 6 to 8 months, Nathan told me, he's like, I feel like I'm riding your coattails, because it was me. I was marketing, I was cooking, it was my recipes, it was my this, and Nathan was just there. And I said, stay put, dude.
Yeah. Because
one day, several days, but one day coming new, you have something so valuable to teach me about life that I can't pay you for it. I can't repay you for it. I can't do anything other than say thank you. And he has served that purpose 10 times over since we've met. I remember there was a very specific incident with a police officer. I was with my ex, and a police officer had come over because I was drinking. I left the property. This police officer stayed back and solicited my girlfriend for sex, in uniform, with his police car, on the Ring doorbell camera. And I was so mad. I looked at Nathan the next day. God forgive me. I'm just going to be real with everybody real quick. I looked at Nathan the next day and I said, "Hey, how much money do we have in the account?" He goes, X amount of dollars. Why, what's up? I said, "I just need to know if we have any bail money." And he goes, "What's wrong?" I said, "I'm about to go remove every tooth in this person's head with a bat." I said, "I don't care if he's got a badge on or not." And I had my mind made up. I went and bought a bat. I mean, this is when we first started. This is 3 years ago. I felt so encroached on. I felt so disrespected. I felt so, you're supposed to be here helping me and my family. And this is what took place on my front porch. And I was ready to just go insane because now it had something to do very personal with me. It had something to do with someone I've cared about very much. And Nathan goes, "Hold on." I said, "What do you mean, hold on?" I said, "Ain't nobody fixing to help me." You know what I mean? I said, "I'm gonna go do this, and as long as you can bail me out, and we can, I don't care if I have a felony on my record. I'm my own boss now." It was a stupid mindset to have. And so Nathan goes, "Hold on." He actually called one of his best friends, who was a lieutenant for this police department, and this guy said, "Wait a minute, this isn't right. Let me take care of it." I was about to go do what Just knew how to do.
Mm.
And
Give him just justice.
give him just justice. Nate said, "That's not the way we handle things anymore.
Yeah.
I'm part of you now, and this is how we handle things." And that's a very raw moment for me to share with everybody at this late in life. But Nate called that individual, and that individual came and saw the footage, and that cop was fired the next morning, and not just fired, but he was not allowed to work within a county, I think 50 miles here.
Yeah.
Wasn't allowed to put a badge on, was it? And that's what ultimately I was after. Is like, you have no position to be in this. And that's one of the many, many, many things where I grew up in a hard life. I did go to jail at a young life. I did have a police officer as a father, but I also grew up around inmates and thugs for the most part, who led me down that because I ran away from my family. I didn't let my family teach me.
Right.
And so when this opportunity comes up, and I'm not thinking clearly at all because of how clouded this. I mean, imagine your wife being
Right.
solicited by a police officer. What in the world? How mad would you be? And how unsafe would you feel?
Right.
And so that was the first. That was the first incident. And like I said, he's done 10 times over that, and I've grown as an individual so much knowing I don't have to fight.
Yeah.
When I'm not in the wrong. I don't have to use my hands. I don't have to use my voice. I don't have to use. There are people right now this year who have put me down and belittled me and everything else. And you know what I say? Nothing.
You don't have to.
I learned how to keep my mouth shut because of this man that God brought into my life, crossed my path, and helped me build my business that is now our business.
Yes.
He didn't have anything to bring to the table other than, I was like, "Bro, you have so much value, you just don't realize it, because I need change. I need behavioral instructions. I need to know how to operate as a human in this life." And he taught me that.
Sounds like what he brought you was priceless, and that it was balance.
Yeah, and he still brings me that. When we have these situations, there's sometimes I walk away and I go, "You got this." Because in this situation, I'm not going to benefit us at all. And I know that you're my strength and I'm the weakness and I'm leaving, and he will completely tackle the situation. And it was a partnership that I needed. And I wanted to speak about that because I don't give Nate enough credit. It usually is me in front of the camera. It usually is me in front of the recognition and that, acknowledgement. And my team deserves more acknowledgement too. So I just wanted to say that.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I've gotten to meet Nathan. I don't know him real well, but he is he's a very service-minded guy. He takes care of your people.
He does, and he's neutral too. He does not take my side. If I'm wrong, he tells me.
That's great.
And it is. I need that. I can't walk around thinking I'm right all the time. Then I would be cocky and not just confident.
And because of y'all's history, you have the humility to trust when he tells you you're wrong.
Which was difficult for me to give that trust away, but Nate earned it so quickly and never misused it that it was just, I never looked back.
Well, we're getting close to the end here. Chuck, would you like to ask anything?
Well, one of the things I like to end with, and I think that may be part of just our last moments of chat here, is I believe you have a tremendous amount to offer. I know you just gave credit to Nate and to other people in your life, but it's formulating and it's coming out. It has been coming out really well in the last hour plus that we've been talking. But now you're talking to that next generation. Now we're 40s, we're 50s, and we're talking now to folks in their teens and 20s. That's right. And there's nuggets we want them to know, whether they hear it now or hear it first, and then it gets reiterated down the line, which is sounds like what happened to you.
Absolutely.
You had family members all along the way that just kept iterating and iterating. And then at some point,
I just didn't realize what they were saying until that opportunity was presented to me and I had a decision to make.
Right. And I want you to be thinking and prepare your thoughts to tell them, because we know that there's a variety of audience that listens at the very least, and sometimes watches this recording, and we want them to be able to hear that again and again and again. And this is the reason that you are an invitee today, because Rob saw that. He saw that message. And so I want to be thinking about that. If you want to throw a question in, otherwise you can just dive right in and say, if you're a young person listening today.
I mean, my only, and that's a great, thank you for asking that. I've never been asked that, which makes me think. So when I was venturing out to do this business on my own, like I said, Mr. Ayers was my grandfather. I worked for him in my late 30s when I came back and all my other stuff didn't work. Before I started this, he was the last job I had. And I didn't want to leave him because I loved him. I loved it. There was a security in what he built. You know what I mean? He built that shop with $1,000 and a business partner that quit a year into it. And now, I think the last time I worked there, it was over 1.3 million in sales, and auto parts. But anyway, when I was leaving, I asked my grandfather, I said, what is one piece of advice you can give me? And he said, pay your taxes. And, that was it's so weird and funny, but I'm gonna tell you right now, he had me so scared. I saved money for our taxes, and when we got hit with it, we were as prepared as we could be. It was still a little blindsided because taxes theft in my mind, but it was still a little blindsided. But I did that, and I'm thankful for that little piece of advice. So if I could leave a piece of advice behind to anybody else out there, my biggest piece of advice coming from me and my experiences is always stay open. There is no absolute. I don't care what you've been taught as right. Question things, and not in a malicious way. Question things as, is this right? Do you feel good about it? Is this your gut and your spirit will lead you a long way? And if you listen to that and surround yourself with people whose guts and spirits you want to be like, it's going to become very easy for you to understand and hear yourself when you talk to yourself. Yeah. So I would just say be open, surround yourself. If you guys are saying I'm successful, it's a product of the people that I have put in my, or God has put in my life, and I have accepted and held them close because I knew that they had value for me, and it wasn't monetary value. That's what I would say. I would say get rid of anybody who is dragging you down. I don't care if it's a spouse. I don't care if it's your mama. I don't care if it's your brother. Whoever it is, you've got to get that out of your life. You've got to surround yourself with other people, and you've got to work off of a moral and ethic code and move forward from that point. And I think everything that you need to know in life will be discovered and uncovered from you.
That's beautiful.
Perfect.
That's beautiful.
Yep.
I love the way that you said stay open. That's very simple, very direct. I use a very similar line. I always say I show up empty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And something that I've learned and that you practice without knowing it, you are constantly pouring yourself out.
Absolutely.
So that you can be empty.
Correct. You're at, and that's a beautiful way to put it, because if I keep this stuff inside me, there's no way for other stuff to come. You have to.
You can't grow unless you're pouring out what you're giving.
I feel like you ever seen those, again, bar life is something that comes to me, but you see those shots that are just spread across,
Yeah.
And there's other drinks on top of them, and they do a domino effect that just pours into all of them. I feel like we have to be like that in life. There's no way that I can fill up and serve my purpose like this shot is supposed to serve its purpose if I'm not leaning over and tilting myself into somebody else so that they can do the same thing.
Exactly.
Complete some sort of setup that's going on in life. But I agree with you, and thank you guys for having me. This did more for me.
Well, I've got a question. This is my favorite question. It's my last question. It's our closer. Okay, I ask this of every guest that we ever have on here. If you could go back in time to the early Juss, let's say about 17. Okay.
That's a crucial time.
Yeah. It's typically a very crucial time. And you could whisper some advice into the younger Juss's ear that you'd hear, that as your younger self, that you know he would hear. You couldn't go back and and change everything necessarily, but you could give him advice that he would hear.
I would tell him that he is worth so much more. And as simple as that. If I could just whisper into his ear, I would say, what, knowing what he's doing, knowing the path he's going down, knowing what he's about to witness in life, I would just want him to remember that whatever happens, and when you find yourself on that abandoned porch because you're homeless now and you're sleeping with your shirt as a pillow, just understand that you're worth a lot more and go chase it.
That's good. That's good. And that'll touch a lot of people. I mean, can you imagine how many others like you might be 17 right now?
Yeah, it's
and be in that spot on that porch with that shirt. Metaphorically,
that was a real thing.
Yeah, I understand.
I had to use that shirt for either a blanket or a pillow that night. And the crazy thing is, my grandmother's house was 4 houses over, but I was not allowed back home. And I just and that had to be the toughest thing for my grandparents, because they told me, you're worth so much more, and I didn't understand what that meant. I didn't understand what that meant. As a kid, we don't understand that there's an expiration date on our life one day, and we just run around doing the craziest things, not understanding the consequences or effects that it's going to have on us so far down the road, or even immediately. And if I could have just understood then that I was worth more than what I was allowing myself to behave, I was worth more than what I allowed myself to receive, I was worth more than I allowed myself, the positions I allowed myself to be in. If I understood that, I'd probably be 20 years deeper into my career right now.
Well, wow. I'm going to say this. You definitely were worth more. You are worth more, and your stock is still rising.
Amen.
I'm very proud to have had you on here with us as a guest. I'm proud to count you as a friend, even though we're relatively new friends.
Still,
we don't know each other deeply, but I feel like I know you a lot.
Absolutely,
especially now. Everybody out there, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for watching today. This is our second live video. Appreciate any and all feedback. I'm Robbie.
I'm Chuck.
And today we've had the great privilege of having
Juss
Rabalais with us. And tell them where to find the food today.
So, what's today? Wednesday?
No,
Tuesday.
So Tuesday, Old West Smoke Company. So we have 2 active food trucks right now. Side Chick is our 3rd one, but it's just a concept that we're developing and building right now. You can find Old West Smoke Company moving around town. Find them on our Facebook page. If you're live, they're going to be in Groves tonight at the Longhorn Liquor from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock, because Groves has nothing to eat in town. And then if you're looking for Smash Wagon, every Thursday through Saturday, we are parked in the parking lot of Red's Ice House. We're trying to establish ourselves as more of a restaurant type business versus moving around and trying to find the crowd. It's new to us, trying to plan ourselves like this instead of moving around, but it has been a challenge that we are slowly conquering, overcoming, and getting down. And
I love it.
If you guys are out of town and you're looking for Smash Wagon, bad news is we're not coming to your town. The good news is we're still open. And it's in Beaumont off College Street. So if you're swinging through, please come visit us.
Well, guys, thank you very much for allowing us to become a part of the pursuit of your purpose. Y'all have a great day.